Welcome to the Moody's Tire and Auto Football Extra.
Visit us at Moody's Tire for all your tire and automotive needs.
Stop by and see us at 1600 Columbia Avenue.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome into another edition of Moody's Tire and Auto Football Extra. I'm Joe Williamson, along with Charles Pulliam from the Williamson Herald. And Charles, week 5, 6th game. We go through this every week. I'm just trying to make sure you're correct.
I'm still getting it. Yeah.
Good, because I haven't, so you're going to have to keep us straight.
Yeah.
It's another big week, though. The top game of the night, probably homecoming for the Franklin Rebels as they host Lincoln County. The Falcons coming up from South Tennessee down along the border. And longtime connection here. Former head coach Alvin Palmer played in Fayetteville before Lincoln County. Then he coached at Lincoln County, coached a guy by the name of Tim Johnson. Palmer became head coach. Johnson became an assistant. Tim became the head coach. Then he left and went to BGA. Alvin went to Page. Now Palmer's back in Fayetteville at the new City High School, and Tim has gone to Arkansas. And we're not even getting into the basketball connections.
No, that's just the simple upfront stuff. So there's a little bit of ties here, right? Just a little? Yeah.
A little bit of ties and some past games that have been some real slobber knockers. So this ought to be a good Friday night, and you better get here early. Special kickoff of 7:30 to give everybody a chance to get in for homecoming. The defense is going to have to be strong. Lincoln County brings a couple of kids who can run, one who can throw. But, Charles, they're going to have to battle themselves. Malik Grimes has a breakout game last week.
Big game.
Shelbyville, 115 yards on 19 carries. You know Bryce Milo can run it. And, of course, you got Joe Critchlow with about 8 guys who can catch it.
And Critchlow, looking for one of his big breakout games, I think, too. And this is an opportunity for him after establishing more of that ground game. We've seen Bryce do really well, and Malik coming on strong, too. So I'm seeing some Joe looking long here, looking for some air through the air a little more.
I could be wrong, but I want to give the Franklin defense a bit of an edge, too.
Yes.
When they come in here on Friday night. The other game we're keeping an eye on, Overton, an underachieving 2 and 3 team out of Nashville, taking on Ravenwood. Don't doubt the Raptors. They're 5-0 after last week's big win. Charles, there's a bit of an edge to this game, though. Last year, Ravenwood went to Overton. Tie ball game. We go into overtime. Will Hester has always had courage. He said, my kids will get it done. They go for 2. Didn't happen. The only blemish in the regular season.
Yes, and that one I'm sure is right on their minds constantly. Overton coming in here actually too, finally got offense going against Cane Ridge last week, and with Ravenwood's defense clicking, maybe Overton's offense finally coming through, it's going to be a real push and pull there.
Yeah, Overton still, by the way, up near the top of District 12 AAA, even though they're only 2 and 3 on the year. The other game, this one could be a tough one, could be a great one. Blackmon, probably the best team in Middle Tennessee at 5-0, comes to visit 4-1 Independence, and you know the Eagles are going to be an angry bunch after the loss last week.
Yes, and they're facing a very tough Blaze team. You got to think of your name guys, Juwan Jennings, guys like that, but this offensive line here, I'd stack them up with about anyone when you're thinking Blackmon, and that's really been pushing them, averaging more than 300 yards on the ground for Blackmon. So Indy's got their work cut out for them for sure, coming off that first loss.
There's some at Blackmon that believe their team could play with Vanderbilt, but that's a whole nother story. One of the other games we're going to be watching, Brentwood got a big win last week at Dixon County, put the first one on the board and walked right back into the fire. Oakland, maybe the second best team in Middle Tennessee, only been beaten by Blackmon, comes to town. And these Rutherford County schools, this used to be a pretty good rivalry, but they've truly established themselves as the best district in the state.
You mentioned Oakland's only loss is to Blackmon. That's the season opener that everyone watched on ESPN2.
Yeah.
That just shows you how tough these teams are. And Oakland coming in, Brentwood got that first win, so that's great for them. But this was going to be another challenge. And you talk about their schedule. We talk about it each week. Oh, man, this is another big one.
The schedule's just that brutal. It deserves to be talked about each week. And the other big game, the top 5, we'll call it, because we got 10 games this week. Brentwood Academy at home, reeling a bit from that loss last week. Those Eagles aren't going to be very happy either. And coming to town, Johnson City Science Hill, 4-0, number 1 in District 1 AAA, all the way up in the eastern corner of the state. And I got to tell you, the Hilltoppers are looking to avenge that 44-0 loss they took last year to Brentwood Academy, the game that kind of set the Eagles back on their pace.
Yes, and Science Hill comes in with the offense. I mean, I'm thinking this has got to be one of the highest scoring offenses in the state. They're averaging 55 points a game, but when you're thinking Brentwood Academy, they've been allowing quite a bit too, but they're also putting up the points on the board. This could be a lot of fireworks coming out right from the start, and I kind of expect that actually.
almost 1,200 yards total offense last week, the NBA Brentwood Academy game. Charles, that may just be the first half with these two.
I know. Jeremiah Oatsville for BA. He's had 5 touchdowns thrown through the last 2 games, not to mention rushing for more than 150 yards through 2 games as well. Offensive explosion from both these, I'm thinking, and it makes some sense.
That's what we think, anyway, are the top 5 games of the week. 5 other games on the schedule for Williamson County. This is only the second, and it is the last week in 2014 that a county team will not be playing another county team. This is it. From here on, it's district action and just get after each other.
Yes, and we mentioned so many good teams coming to town, and it's going to be some high-quality football through the week for sure.
Pope John Paul II comes visiting from up in Hendersonville, way up north, if you will, of Nashville. Not really, but we call it that. They got to come to BGA, and I guarantee you, BGA, this is another one of those revenge games. Pope John Paul knocked them off last year, was not something that made the Wildcats real happy. Clay Beathard and his crew, I think, are going to be ready for him.
And they showed that by going up to Kentucky last week. Able to put on, quite a show up there. 42-12, I think, was the final there. Pope John Paul coming in off some losses here. Not a lot of offense there. I think BGA has a good opportunity here to go into the final district push with another nice win.
Yeah, everything backloaded on the BGA schedule as far as that Division II schedule. Another team that's taking a run, Centennial, off to a school record 5-0 start. Travel to Mount Juliet, where the Bears are 4-1. They pretty handily took care of the Bears last year. And I got to tell you, I'm not supposed to do this once a year, and I'll do it here. I'm really pulling for Centennial.
And homecoming week for Mount Juliet, Centennial comes in with plenty of offense. Emmanuel Hall has put together some great games. He's coming off a 2-touchdown reception game again. That's his 3rd this year where he's had 2 TDs. The guy's just a playmaker, and he just had 4 catches, but when you're scoring with those catches, that says a lot.
And Deion Sanders, 9 scores in 5 games. Terrell Dotson is back. The defense is almost healthy. And Centennial's really got to stay healthy because after this, it's on to the meat of their district schedule. Definitely. Fairview, man, this is a must-win situation for the Yellow Jackets. The injuries have just decimated Fairview. And Coach Chris Hughes will tell you, we got to win this one when they go on the road to face Hickman County, East Hickman County.
And Hunter Zimmerman, he's gonna try it. Yeah. That's for sure. He's the focal point of that offense, the leader of the team coming in. Didn't get a play last week, and it showed. Only mustered up 7 points, 14-7 loss, and this is must-win territory for sure.
Yeah, they have lost 3 games in a huge district. They can still make the playoffs, but every game is like a playoff game right now. They've got to keep winning to keep going. Stewart Creek comes to visit Summit. This was a game last year. 2 basically new programs. Stewart Creek walked away with the win. Summit came home without it, and it's going to be another tough row, I think, for the Spartans come Friday night.
Stewart's Creek actually coming off a loss against Blackmon, so they've faced some really tough competition as well. Looking to get a win on the board also, so it's going to be a tough one for Summit, I think.
Spartans got to get some offense going to keep things on an upward trend. And the final game, Page at 2-2, traveling down to Forest. Forest 4-1, the leader in District 9 Single A. And it really doesn't matter because this is like a backyard rivalry.
And Page is itching to get some of that offense going after running into CPA. Page ran into a tough CPA team looking for that offense to go as, they just couldn't muster up much against the Lions.
And the Lions, of course, on the road this week. They're going down to Milan. They got to go to the West State. So there's 11 different games that we're going to be keeping our eyes on this week. And, of course, you can follow along with us on Friday night live on Twitter. Just follow WH Sports, and we'll keep you updated with all the scores. And, of course, at WilliamsonHerald.com. When the games are over, we'll have scores posted. We'll have stories posted quickly. And, of course, Charles, those outstanding videos that you've been doing. It may be 2 or 3 o'clock before they're finished, but you get them up and you get them up quick.
And that's the idea. Planning on quite a few more games coming out, too. At least 3 videos for sure. So lots of trips for me.
Yep. It's going to be a busy night for us. We know it's going to be a busy night for you. We know it's busy that you take your time to watch us. We want to say thank you for that. For Charles Pulliam, I'm Joe Williams. We'll see you next time on the next edition of the Moody's Tire and Auto Football Extra.